Then one had a, what you call a riding strap. He leaned in and beating me in the face. He beat till he knocked me over. And then he jerked me back up on my knees and he said, now you'll tell the white man the truth. And he handed me a bottle of castor oil and told me to drink every bit of it, and I drank it. And then that time one shoved a single barrel gun across my nose, they lead right across there like that, and said, nigger, smell what you gonna die of. And that time the other one had the old barrel gun and said, get up on your feet. I stood up and looked at the hood. I couldn't look him in the eye, I just looked at the hood. He said, nigga, run. And I took off and run, and they shot right while they seen me last. They just empty guns right over my head, and I was laying there.
According to history, the Klan saved the South. And I believe if it's to be saved again, that the Klan will save it. Because we believe in calling a spade, regardless of who it may hurt.
The great majority of white people in this state disapprove of, abhor, are saddened by these horrible crimes of violence that have taken place. However, I do not believe it is just to indict a whole people for the transgressions of a few.
The men you have just seen are Mississippians, speaking in Mississippi. One gave his view of the present and feels the state deserves some blame, but that indicting all its people is unjust. Another gave his view of the past and present and feels the Klan is the savior of the South. The other, the Negro, expressed no view, merely recited how he was nearly murdered. Their statements form the first broad strokes in a self-portrait of Mississippi. Mississippians say they are a God-fearing people, and they mean it in the sense of the Old Testament. God is wrathful, but his son Jesus will intercede. They also believe the admonition of Moses, be sure your sin will find you out. The sins of some have been washed up by the silent, sluggish waters of the rivers. This is the Tallahatchie. Emmett Till, a 15-year-old Negro boy visiting from Chicago, whistled at a white woman. His body was found in the Tallahatchie, trussed with wire and weighted down with a pulley from a cotton gin. Cotton and Negroes, white fiber and black labor, both have enriched the state and left a curse upon it. Mississippi is not all cotton land. Much of it is rolling sandy clay hills covered with longleaf pine. Mississippians call these piney woods. The sun broils the sap in the trees and the air reeks with resin. Near the town of Poplarville is the Wolf River. It's beautiful. Mac Parker's body was found here. He was a Negro accused of rape. He was not tried or convicted. He was lynched. Cool rivers, stands of fragrant pines, and the long, hot summer. More recently, fires have flared in the piney woods, not from trees, but from Negro churches. Friendship, Society Hill, Mount Zion. There were 38 of them. And of more infamous memory, Neshoba County. Not long ago, 3 civil rights workers were killed by a lynch mob. Their bodies were concealed in the clay embankment of this pond. These are but recent examples. Violence practiced and threatened has been at the surface of life in Mississippi for more than 100 years. Violence has ebbed and flowed in keeping with the rise and fall of efforts to change the life of the Negro. In denying change for the Negro, Mississippians have denied change for themselves. Individual growth and development have been curbed. The state has become increasingly isolated, the society increasingly ingrown. Inevitably, the people have felt increasingly misunderstood and abused. What manner of people are Mississippians?
As we come to Thee this evening, Heavenly Father, we come to Thee as needy creatures.
Put race aside, and most Mississippians are humble, gentle, charming, courteous, hospitable, and humorous people.
The summer is ended. The harvest is past, they said, and we are still lost. We haven't been saved.
Add race, and many Mississippians become fearful and sense doom in the future. They feel they're surrounded by Negroes, used as unwitting instruments by outsiders who do not realize they are being used in a larger plot to weaken the white race and destroy America.
And as I lift up my eyes, I notice one of the signs that says in the background, "Wake up or be buried." The Bible says...
They see themselves as the last defenders of Western civilization. These are some of the attitudes we found in traveling the length and breadth of the state for 3 months, filming and recording.
Compassed about.
This is Greenwood, a town that has remained rigid on race relations. Negroes outnumber whites 3-2 in Greenwood. It's a cotton town in the heart of the Delta, and there's been trouble here. Emmett Till was murdered in the environs of Greenwood. And living now in Greenwood is Byron DeLay Beckwith, twice tried, not convicted, of the murder of Negro leader Medgar Evers. This is Carnaggio's restaurant. Gathered here are 5 men, representative leaders who speak for Greenwood. They voice the Orthodox liturgy. Hardy Lott, the attorney who defended DeLay Beckwith.
Stories about the South and keeping up
Mayor
with
Charles Sampson.
I'd estimate that about
Noel Davis, Stanley Sanders, Robert Wingate.
puzzles me. And it has all of my life. And that is the fact that people in other sections of the country are thoroughly convinced that we are prejudiced against colored people on account of the color of their skin.
I think you're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, there's a very warm feeling on the part of most Southerners toward the color.
This is a private club. Greenwood avoided integrating its public accommodations by converting public eating places into private clubs for whites only. No Negroes enter here, except as servants.
It still exists. Before the Social Security system existed, was set up by the federal government, when a plantation owner had a colored person who had worked for him for a number of years and had gotten too old to put in a day in the field, he didn't run him off, he didn't fire him, he left him with a home, he gave him food, he gave him clothes, and he gave him a place to live his life out in peace and contentment.
Oh, yes.
And that
many
proves...
instances where these older colored people are still living on plantations, charge no rent, they do no field work or no other kind of work. They're still looked after, carried to the hospital, and helped out in many ways.
And we wouldn't do that if we didn't like them.
But what they would come back with always and say, if that's true, and you're not prejudiced against them, why do you want to keep your separate school? Isn't that prejudice? Of course it's not.
It's difficult for me to believe that the American people, being as we know, but we're part of them, being fair-minded people, would want to impose upon any area of this nation a situation in which illiterates would be allowed to vote.
That's true. You can build the schools as we have and provide the teachers. But you can't go down and get them by the neck and make them absorb an education. That's something they have to do for themselves. It's difficult for me to understand why the entire country is so intent on integrating our schools.
I think that they feel like we do not have adequate schools for our colored children. And I think that it would change considerably the national attitude if people could come in and see our colored schools.
Many Negro schools do look adequate. It's also true many were built belatedly to give equal facilities in a vain effort to keep separate facilities. Josephine Haxton gives an unorthodox view.
I don't know a great deal about the Negro school system, just because perforce white people don't know too much about the life of Negroes in the towns they live in. the problem of getting qualified Negro teachers in the Negro school systems, I understand, is very hard. Probably the Negro student who graduates from the best Negro high schools in the state doesn't have as good an education as a white child in comparable schools, simply because the teachers are not as good, because he has been raised in a deprived environment, and he hasn't had as much to bring to his education.
We know the colored people so well, and knowing the colored people here, now I'm not talking about somewhere else, I'm talking about here in Mississippi, it's not going to be good for them. The average colored child is not going to keep up with the average white child in an integrated school, and it's going to give them an inferior feeling of inferiority, and it's not going to be good for them at all.
Correct.
Well, we have in Greenwood, I think we have wonderful relations with the colored people. It has been demonstrated through the years in all the businesses, type of businesses. The colored people are very happy, extremely happy in Mississippi.
And I think they feel just as warmly toward us.
That's a fact. Do you know anybody that disagrees with that?
This is Booker Wright. The white men we've just seen and heard think he's a hard-working, carefree Negro. But what does he think? He has his own place in the Negro district where he works by day. But at night, he waits on white folks. He tells how an evening goes with white folks who say they know him so well.
Glad to see y'all. We don't have a written menu. I'll be glad to tell you what we're going to serve tonight. Everything we serve is a la carte. We have fresh shrimp cocktail, Lusco shrimp, fresh oyster on a half shell, baked oyster, oyster Rockefeller, oyster Almadine, stewed oysters, fried oyster, Spanish mackerel broiled, Watson Solon steak, club steak, T-bone steak, porterhouse steak, ribeye steak, Lusco special steak, broiled mushroom, flavor of garlic, tank spaghetti meatballs, soft shell crab, French fried onion, golden brown donut style. Best food in the world is served at Lusco. Now that's what my customers, I say my customers, be expecting of me. When I come in, this way want me dressed. Booker, tell my people what you got. Some people are nice, some is not. Some call me Booker, some call me John, some call me Jim, some call me nigger. All of that hurts, but you have to smile. If you don't, what's wrong with you? Why are you not smiling? Get over there and get me so-and-so and so-and-so. There are some nice people. Don't talk to Booker like that. Oh, his name is Booker. Then I got some more people come in real nice. How you do, waiter? What's your name? Then I take care of some so good, and I keep that smile. I always learn to smile. The meaner the man be, the more you smile. Although you're crying on the inside. Or you wondering, what else can I do? Sometimes you tip you. Sometimes you say, I'm not going to tip that nigga. You don't look for no tip. Yes, sir. Thank you. What did you say? Come back. Be glad to take care of you. Don't talk to him like that. That's a good nigga. That's my nigga. Oh, yes, sir, boss. I'm your nigga. I'm trying to make a living. Why? I got 3 children. I want them to get an education. I wasn't fortunate enough to get an education, but I want them to get it. And they are doing good. Night after night, I lay down and I dream about what I had to go through with. I don't want my children to have to go through with that. I want them to be able to get the job that they be qualified for. That's what I'm struggling for. I don't want this and I don't want that, but I just don't want my children to have to go through what I go through with. Hey, tell that nigga to hurry with that coffee. I'm on my way. So that's what you have to go through with. But remember, you have to keep that smile.
Now, what happened to us here in Mississippi, it happened all over the South, and that is up until 1954. There was no great outcry from the intellectuals, from the teachers, from the columnists about the immorality of this type of social structure. Then all of a sudden in 1954, this decision not only changed the whole concept of the social order, but in effect what it said was that we had been living in sin for these many years, and that this thing became really a moral issue. Now this was quite a traumatic experience for us in the South, and I think it was for the rest of the nation. To be told all of a sudden that what you've been doing and what you've been believing in, the way you've been living all your life, and the way your parents lived before you and your forebears is not only wrong but immoral, is quite a shock. And therefore it's easy to understand why the The attitude of the white people in Mississippi to this new order of the day, this new change, was one of inflexibility and one of defiance.
And how can you look in these stripes of red and this flag knowing very well that your forefathers, yes, yours, not mine, yours, all of them, that stripe represents that blood that they spilled on this soil, American soil, something that you have never had to do to give you this God-given right of racial purity and a heritage.
Racial purity, Southern heritage. There are no more enduring beliefs in Mississippi than those arising from a romanticized version of plantation life. As told and retold since the Civil War, it was an idyllic existence, a perfectly ordered society. Happy Negroes worked in the fields, devoted to their white masters who ruled the plantations, and cotton was king. Some remnants remain. This is Waverly.
This was the center of hospitality in this part of Mississippi, and of course was built chiefly with slave labor and is a beautiful historical landmark. Colonel Young came here from Georgia and built the house. He made his money in cotton land and owned near 1,000 slaves. In those days, of course, all the cotton money was clear because he owned his labor.
All slave societies, from Greece to the American South, generated fears. But in the South of that day, it was not fear of race mixing. It was fear of slave insurrection. Fear of the overthrow of a life so rich it fostered guilt.
They had many lovely weddings at Waverly. Colonel Young had 4 daughters. Each of those were married in Waverly. They came down with all the grace of an antebellum lady, down the 4 twin circular stairwells, down to the hall and into the wedding alcove, which he had built for his daughter's wedding ceremonies.
But it ended. In the process of saving the Union, slavery was abolished. The planter aristocracy was destroyed. The planters, the natural leaders of the South, were denied positions of leadership in the immediate post-war period. Leadership passed to the poor whites. Their fears of race mixing, arising in part from personal guilt, became public racial policy. Planters whipped slaves to ensure obedience. Poor whites lynched Negroes to ensure racial purity. Protect Southern womanhood. They do it in the name of Southern heritage.
And again, how can you look upon the white of this flag, which represents the purity and the chastity of womanhood, not realizing the turmoils of sacrifice to give this beloved mother, this sister and this daughter, this sanctity and this purity and this protection?
So the lost cause of the Confederate aristocracy has been perverted into the basest kind of human fear.
I think that one thought that's back in the white person's mind, that the close relationship or connection or companionship that might result from things such as going to the same swimming pool or going to school together and going to dances and participating in school activities, extra school activities, I should say, will inevitably lead to much intermarriage and much social mixing, and with an amalgamation and a mongrelization of the races. And I would be less than frank if I didn't say that that is the one end result that the white person in the South most fears, and that is the reason why he most strongly resists the movement that's going on now, because he sees it as a mortal danger to his civilization.
This fear requires that the Negro be denied advancement. The fear is that any forward move will lead by fearful extension to mongrelizing the races. Socially, economically, the Negro has stagnated for 150 years. But while the social order held, the economic order was changing. Machines have provided even cheaper labor than Negro hands.
It used to be that we had to rely almost entirely on hand labor. Now the need for this type of labor is gradually phasing out, so that we have a large segment of our Negro population who really do not have a ready market for their labor, for their services. For instance, on my own plantation, we have about 24 families who are living there. Many of them were born there, they raised their families there. We actually no longer need them in our operation, but I think quite obviously someone who has been born in a place and has worked for you or your family for a generation or two, that they can't be asked to move on. These people present a real economic problem to not only to the whole state, but particularly to our area.
The personal concern of nearly all Mississippians for individual Negroes is genuine. It's warm and deep. They feel a responsibility for the welfare of Negroes they know, care for them in illness and distress, often intercede for them in minor brushes with the law. It's paternalism, tinged with guilt, an outgrowth of the slave-master relationship requiring subservience of the Negro. A plantation manager insisted we bring cameras and microphones into the homes of his Negro field hands so all could see and, he hoped, finally understand.
I'll show you some that started out with just one mule, and he's in good shape, has a bank account, and I can show you some been here with me 23 years in the same shape he was 23 years ago. Now this across the road over here is the one that you're going to see that's absolutely a good tenant, and I'm glad you came down. And I'd like to show him to you, Mose Stewart, that's been here for 30 years or more and has lived well and has plenty. And he's a taxpayer. He pays income tax. Most of these men want to look through your house.
Come right in.
And Mose Stewart.
Yes, come right in.
Which one room? You want to go in this room first?
Yeah, you can just go right in here.
Open the door. Open the door.
Just come right in.
Come right on in. Now you'll see inside.
Shut up.
Yeah. Big it up. Come on in. I want to show you through the house. This is Mo's mother right here. She doesn't pick any cotton anymore. She's getting too old. We're going back through here. And Mo's fixed up with knives. We're going to fix him up a little more, though. And a good worker. Yes. This is another one of his bedroom and utility kind of oatmeal stuff you have put away for when that you put away through the winter time. He put this in the winter, but wife cooked some pies yesterday and put those in there.
My mother cooked them, and wife, she's gone.
My wife is gone, wasn't
yes.
she? Talk loud enough.
Yes, sir.
We trying to show these people how you can live if you work for it.
Yes.
And I think you work for yours.
Yes, sir. I do.
And we want to keep the locker full. We're going to put the bathroom in here.
Yes.
And we're going to put them in all the houses that are like this.
Yes.
But we're putting them in every deserving tenant.
Yes.
We're going to do that.
Yes.
But we can't do it to some because if they come up to lick log like you and these others I mentioned, then we can always fix them up. We've never denied you anything, have we?
Yeah, no, sir. That's right.
When do you ever ask me anything?
You never have denied me because I always would try to
you work to that
to
advantage, yeah. And I have plenty more in the place that I don't deny, but there are some that I just can't go too far with because they're not deserving, in other words.
Yes.
And Mose know them all, and
yes.
he visits them.
Yes.
And we've got homes there as nice as these.
Yes.
But we have some that's not because they don't take advantage of it, as Mose folks said just now. And I just want to show you the house right here. The difference. I want to show you the contrast in the good tenant and the one that doesn't stay at home and take care of his family. Good worker, but he just doesn't take care of his family. I want to show you inside the house. You see that? You won't even put a nail in anything. Now you see, he won't even put a nail in that. And you let it fall down before he put it in there. He'll pull it out, but he won't put it back. Just won't take care of it, won't stay at home long enough to tend anything. I want to carry you inside the house and show you inside, too. Luella? Yes. Come out here. I want to show them inside your house. And how are you this morning?
All right.
All right. One of them to show them the difference in the house over here and your house. And I just like for them to hear you say just why you don't have the chickens and hogs and cows and the yard and the butane gas and things like that the others have. Now you just tell them your own words.
Well, reading that thing, it don't, be in good shape like the rest of them. My
Talk
husband
loud.
just don't stay at home to help. And I stay here, do the very best that I can. I have a desire to have hogs, chickens, and gas,
Well, you have had
convenient to my home, but I just don't have, my husband just don't have, he don't have the mind to help me.
You've been on the mill, I'd say, close to 30 years.
Yes.
But I knew your dad, and
yes,
been trying to. Have I ever tried to help you?
yes, you really try to help me. You believe in folks trying to have something, if you will.
You can tell them about whether I instruct you right or not, can't you? Can you tell them about how well what I do about trying to get your men folks to help you?
Yes, sir. Sure, we try
I'll
to do
try.
all you do.
But I think we're going to have to bow down a little harder.
Yes, sir. That's right.
I think Mississippi has done wonders with our race relations. I think it has been a marvelous thing that our Negroes have come as far as they have, and I feel no sense of guilt, and I do not feel that we need to apologize for what we have done for them. Now, I feel that God had a purpose in creating the races separately. I am so proud of Negroes who are proud of being Negroes. They are what God made them. And I'm proud of being white because I am what my white race has made me. I'm white today because my parents practiced segregation. And I wouldn't be anything but white. And I love Negroes who wouldn't be anything but Negro. I remember...
Her name is Mary Kane. She's editor of the Mississippi newspaper, The Summit Sun, published in Pike County, an area of racial violence. Her voice is important. It's heard throughout Mississippi, counseling against change, praising the present.
In Mississippi, we have any number of Negro craftsmen. We have untold hundreds of unskilled workers and domestic helpers. We have 122 Negro-owned funeral homes, 60 Negro doctors, 16 Negro-owned drugstores, 200 Negro-owned beauty parlors and barber shops, 9 Negro lawyers. The number may have gone up since I had these statistics.
But as a whole people, then we might as well admit a few things about these facts that we know. To wit, even now, the Negro schools in this state turn out inferior products because they're inferior schools to a large degree now.
You know, we're in an indefensible position. We decry the Supreme Court decision of, I think it's 54. We had separate but equal doctrine of civil law up to that point. Upheld by the Supreme Court. We had our way. What did we do? For every $100 we spent on education, we spent $98 on the white man's education and $2 on the Negro.
But these too are Mississippi voices, recognizing the present, counseling change. This is Doe's Eat Place in Greenville. It's not private. Negroes who can afford to may eat here. In Greenville, Mississippians are discussing race problems with an easy frankness, an openness that did not come about by chance. For a lifetime as editor of the Delta Democrat Times, Hudding Carter Sr. has campaigned for a democratic way of life in his state. His paper has spoken out against violence, against the corruption of law enforcement officers, in favor of fair treatment for the Negro.
The Negro today is as unrecognizable as the South at large from the Negro of 50 years ago. And this militancy, while it does not win friends for him in the South, it does influence a lot of people. And we know now that the Southern Negro, the American Negro, is not going to give up this quest. He has economics on his side in the long run, and he has the federal government on his side in both the short run and the long run. There's still something else that I believe is spiritually meaningful, and that is the new mood of self-examination that you can find among many Southerners. You find Southerners today looking at themselves and at the people around them and saying, well, this isn't right. they're not saying it loudly. This is not a majority voice yet, but these things are being said. They're being said in my town. They're being said by someone in every town in Mississippi.
We still haven't gotten over the attitudes of the Civil War. Our generation has inherited such a tremendous problem. Of course. The generation that preceded us did nothing. They didn't educate these people. They didn't even provide them with schools.
It can, of course, be said.
And the schools have been built in Mississippi, actually, just since the Second World War.
It seems to me the beginning of the solution of our difficulties is recognizing the fact that the Negro is a full citizen and making it possible for him to be a full citizen with the rights and the responsibilities of citizenship, and that's what we're trying to work toward in Greenwood.
In comparison, the change in Mississippi is slow, but it is change here, not outside, that will make the lives of all its people better. And the change is painful, calling for a deeper self-examination than most of us will ever know.
I've lived in this Delta all my life. My parents before me, my grandparents. I've hunted and fished this land since I was a child. This land is composed of two different cultures, a white culture and a colored culture, and I've lived close to them all my life. But I'm told now that we've mistreated them and that we must change, and these changes are coming faster than I expected, and I'm required to make decisions on a basis of a new way of thinking, and it's difficult. It's difficult for me, it's difficult for all Southerners. An example, recently after church I went to my favorite inn for dinner. I was met at the restaurant door by a waitress, and she said, "Mabry, you better not come in today, the niggers are here." I went anyway, and why shouldn't I? I had known them all my life. They'd nursed me. I had eaten the food that they'd prepared. They had helped raise my children. They had raised me. I could see no harm in that. I still don't. There are some facets, though, of integration as such that I'm opposed to. I'm still opposed to integration of schools, particularly on a grade school level. These children of grade school level know all about life. They know more about the senior side of life, sex, than most white high school children. And I think we'd be doing a disservice to our children if we mix them too early. But I'm in agreement with the theory that all men are entitled to equal protection under the law, to dignity, and I'm willing to see these things happen in Mississippi and in the Delta and in the rest of the South.
Wherever people gather in Mississippi, especially in the larger cities and urban centers, things are being said that have never been said before.
We're going to have to make the best of this thing. We're going to have to continue to be a part of the United States. We want to be. And I think there's a change in the attitude of the white people of Mississippi. I'm not saying that they approve of all of the federal laws that have been passed, but I think they have decided that they have got to be lived with. This problem has to be met. So I think that the future for our state is hopeful. I think the day of the racist demagogue is past.
If his day is past, his voice isn't stilled.
The Bible teaches segregation. Thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with divers seed, lest the fruit of thy seed which thou hast sown, and the fruit of thy vineyard be defiled.
His name is Brother J.C. Brown. He's a radio preacher. Each day he broadcasts from the basement of the Pike Hotel in Macomb, Mississippi.
Together. According to J. Edgar Hoover, Mississippi had less crime per 100,000 population than any other state in the Union. And yet about 46% of the population of the state are Negroes. Many of them live in brick houses, own their own homes, drive new automobiles, and have good incomes. And yet the above described ungodly misfits, some hardly dry behind their ears, come from other parts of the world to tell a peaceful, God-fearing people of Mississippi how to live, and try to force their failures in life upon a successful people. Again, God said, "Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall..."
Oddly, people who say they believe the Bible is literally true do not take the words literally, but interpret certain words to mean Negro and others to mean white. Many of Brother Brown's listeners grub out an existence like the Negroes, set apart only by the accident of race.
It's certainly true that the Negro's life in Mississippi is limited, terribly limited by poverty, and particularly the rural Negro. But after all, in the South, white people are pretty poor too.
These are the whites who compete with the Negroes. They include more than 80% of the whites in Mississippi. Both groups are deprived. Both have little hope for the future. The one undeniable difference is the color of their skins. The whites can always fall back on this. The Negroes can never get beyond it. Any change must bring hope and opportunity to both groups. But these whites do not welcome change and are constantly made fearful of it.
The communists are using the beatniks, the homosexuals, the harlots, the whores, the whoremongers, the dope addicts, the drunkards, and the misfits in life as tools through which to stir up trouble among peaceful, God-fearing people of the South. God said, "There is no peace, saith my God, to the wicked." The only kind of peace they will accept is that like a cat and a mouse, the mouse inside the cat.
The only peace they will accept is that like a cat and mouse, the mouse inside the cat. People accustomed to translating biblical words into Negro and white can translate the words cat and mouse and find a place. One was an earthen dam for a farm pond, where the mouse can be placed inside the cat. And words sown upon the wind can return a harvest of shade.
There are. Gonna be a close one, Joe. Yeah. Boys are right together. Boys leave one at a time.
Who you for? I'll swap with you.
No, you ain't swap. I believe we got lane one. That's what
You won.
I won.
It's a Saturday afternoon, the living room of a home in Natchez, Mississippi. The home of Ed McDaniel, Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan of Mississippi, affiliated with the United Klans of America.
Well, I sincerely believe in the Bible, word for word. And in the Bible it tells us that God will put hooks in the jaws of the enemy and turn them back. Now, we do not know what course or who God will use to do this. But it may be that God will use Klan. People that believe in calling a spade. And if our people believe that God was some little old sissy walking around on this earth, I disagree with them. And that drives me to believe that the Klan organization is the organization that will save this country in the future.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I have no desire to see any person, white or black, to meet death by acts of violence. But I would at the same time like to call the attention that I'm sure in many future cases things of this nature will happen again, as long as the people of the South are provoked.
Again, despite evidence to the contrary, we are not the lawless people that we once were or that we have been pictured now. While some Mississippians burn churches, other Mississippians have raised money to rebuild those churches and even participated in the rebuilding.
One such Mississippian is Dr. W.P. Davis, director of the Committee of Concern of Jackson.
This is one of the 38 churches burned during the long hot summer in 1964. The Committee of Concern was formed to help rebuild these churches. The Committee of Concern is composed of religious leaders of the Jewish faith, the Catholic faith, and the Protestant faith. We believe concerned people will help us complete the job.
Some Mississippians rebuild churches, others work to rebuild people. This is not an ordinary roller rink. It's the recreation room of the St. Francis Mission Center of the Catholic Church in Greenwood, Mississippi. 13 years ago, this mission was begun by a white native Mississippian, a woman whose family has given 2 governors to the state of Mississippi. She knows both sides, and she's gone to the Negroes, sought to know them, and to help. Her name is Kate Jordan.
Our work started out of a need to show a suffering, neglected people that someone cared. We started in a very small place, in a very small way, in the heart of the Negro district of Greenwood, Mississippi. We were few in number and not accepted exceedingly well by the Negro, but we waited patiently, worked diligently, and finally the people came to us. We have used various means to reach the people. Skating is a very wonderful thing for these children, for we can take them, teach them discipline, we can give them a dignity, an enthusiasm, a desire to keep on and to better themselves in this one scope, and from there go on forward. We have a library for the children. We're hoping to improve this each day to give them better material to read, better books. We have a stamp room where we collect, sort stamps, and sell them. We have a clothing sale each day, a rummage sale, where we take the clothing given to us and we sell them for a very low price. Sometimes we even have a big sale for a nickel. For every garment in the center is sold for a nickel. We have a certified nurse midwife who is well qualified to deliver. She takes the mother from the 3rd month of pregnancy and can carry her right on through after delivery to a postnatal class where she can teach the mother to care for her baby and to give it a better start in life.
In a very real sense, Miss Kate has started a revolution in the South. And every day, as we walk the streets of Greenwood, we see the effect of this powerful work, this living example of love. Always the emphasis is on human dignity. If only we could see that these are people, the way Miss Kate sees them. If only we could realize that this is a human heart throbbing with love. Capable of hate, yes, but more anxious to love than to hate. If there were more Miss Kates, perhaps this very revolution could sweep across our land and do so much good.
You all haven't had your Bible lesson this morning, so I think we'll take this time now to have our Bible lesson and review a little bit of what we studied last week. Now let's read it together. Blessed are the poor in spirit.
We like to think of ourselves as a religious people in the South. We are churchgoers, and none of the rest is going to really matter unless we can have this spiritual value too. Recognize that we are God's children, we are brothers, we are members of the last great hope on earth, the United States, and unless we can preserve here in the South this spiritual quality in our relations with our fellow man, those that smack of force are not going to really bring us together as fellow human beings, fellow Americans, fellow citizens.
Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy.
I think it's good for us to wind up, for us in the South to see what all of you have just seen. I think it's good for the north, the television viewer, the northern citizen, to see this too. If he'd known anything about the South of a generation ago, he would probably react more as I do to it than as a stranger here for the first time. I am an optimist. I pretty well have to be, I guess, to keep on fighting for things that I believe in. But I have seen too much happen, particularly in my own part of Mississippi, the Yazoo Mississippi Delta, to be a pessimist today. The steps have been too broad that we have taken for there to be any setting back. But it's not going to change for a long time. But I wish anyone who has seen this program could be alive 50 years from now and come back and see us again. He'll see some profound and largely hopeful changes in our pattern. I am more of an optimist than otherwise because I see what has happened and what can happen.